I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Hello and welcome to Potpourri People of Cleveland. I am Vivian Louise Sharp, and with me today are 3 guests from Cleveland. Mr. Alex Michaels, to my left, Mr. Curtis Roberson, and Mr. Fred Wheat. And we are to give you exciting news about Cleveland and our businesses as well. The first person I would like for you to hear is Mr. Alex Michaels. And Alex, will you please tell us a little bit about your name and a little about yourself?
I'm Alex Michaels of Prelude to Cinema. I'm a filmmaker, actually started really in film. And I started out just as a writer. And the idea that you could make movies in Cleveland never occurred to me until people like Spike Lee started to make movies. And I used to shoot and film and edit. And I thought about, I never thought about leaving Cleveland. I always grew up with the studio system. And first time I tell people I make movies in Cleveland, they'd be like, well, you need to go out to Hollywood. Well, I did for a while, but it's quite expensive out there. But I always wanted to make movies here in my hometown. So around 1999, Sundance started with digital movies. So now you could really make movies, and then the internet, and to go from making a movie on digital, on film actually, and then to making a movie on the phone is incredible. And through my company, Prelude to Cinema, I've been able to reach out to people like all over the world. Because although my heart's always in Cleveland, and with the talent here and the great people here, sometimes the movies I make aren't exactly Cleveland movies, Like I'm working on a crime sci-fi TV series called Out of Darkness, Cleveland, about a Latino cop who's part of a government agency, and when she goes to sleep, she turns into a shadow that eats bad guys. Oh. So yeah, so it's a little different here, but it's set on the streets of Cleveland, and I've been able to work with real police officers and real lawyers, and just set everything in Cleveland. So like one of my idols is Dick Wolf, who created Law and Order, and if you watch Law and Order, New York is part of his shows. So I wanted to show that Cleveland can be part of a television show here too.
What are you working on now? Did you already mention that one?
Yeah, the Out of Darkness Cleveland work on now, but also I've been working to help produce other filmmakers. There's a guy, Joseph Pledger.
Are they from Cleveland?
Yeah, Joseph Pledger's from Cleveland. I'm working with him. And there's another guy, Tarun Hari. He's from India originally, but he came to Cleveland. He made a movie, but he had some visa problems, so he had to go back to India. Mm-hmm. But we're still working together thanks to the internet and everything. And there's another guy, Vitaly Versace. He's Russian. He's from Russia, but he lives in Cleveland. And so he's been helping out with me. So we have a real international flavor. There's even a guy, Christian Perdono. It's hard pronouncing everyone's name.
Yeah.
He's from Italy. He actually saw my stuff on the internet, and he's a classically trained musician. He said, hey, can I give you some music for your movies? So he's working on my movies, for the music for my movies right in Italy. And
from Cleveland.
From Cleveland.
All the way to Italy.
Yeah, Tarun's working on the editing. He set up a studio over in India. And there's a great organization called the 48-Hour Film Project, where they shoot a whole 10-minute movie in 48 hours.
Well, tell me something. I guess the young people listening today, and some of the people may not know about you. How were you raised in Cleveland? Were you born here?
Yeah, I was. Well.
And where did you go to school?
Okay, it's kind of funny. I grew up off East 105th. I always tell people I'm a poor little black boy from the ghetto, and no one believes me, but I am. And right now, my house is going to be a Cleveland Clinic parking lot, But we, my family's from the South. My mother's from New Orleans. So sometimes people think I'm from the South because I get this Southern drawl, and I talk a little fast. But if you've been raised by someone from the South, you're from the South.
I'm from the South.
That's how it is. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But
when did you move to Cleveland?
no, I've always lived in Cleveland.
Oh, you've always lived.
I've always lived in Cleveland, but being raised by the South, you grow up with the values, and holding the door open for ladies and treating people nice and stuff. So it's a different kind of attitude than sometimes the Cleveland people, because people think I am from somewhere else.
Well, tell me one more thing also.
Sure.
What do you focus mostly on in your films? What do you have a certain kind of thing that you like to do more than others? Like artists, some people that draw flowers, some people draw people.
Yeah.
What do you?
Well, there's a style of filmmaking called like film noir, the 1940s movies, the crime movies. I kind of focus on them. Some people think it's about crime and about bad things, but it's really about showing that there's no good guys and there's no bad guys, and that we all have to make choices in our life, and sometimes that duality is what drives us. So those are the kind of things that I like to do. I like to do character things. I'm trying to make happy stories and work with some comedians, because every story I do, someone dies in it, But I did do a comedy where someone didn't die, but the guy wrote about people who died. So I'm trying to stay away from the crime, at least. But that's like kind of like the fun kind of stories. And I act too, so I get to play a prosecutor from New Orleans in my stories. And so it's just like a fun thing to be involved in the whole world of movies and cinema here.
Do any of the gentlemen with us, Mr. Curtis, you have a quick question?
I have a question. Have you collaborated with any other well-known black filmmakers like Spike Lee, and what advice would you give young people, particularly in the Cleveland area, who may have an interest in trying to break into this industry?
Oh, I haven't collaborated with Spike, but I want to reach out to Spike and Tyler. But I did do a movie that won an Emmy. So a guy, Amazar White, was in it, and it was actually produced by a white guy, Jim Friedman. And the reason I mention he's white is because he wanted to create a program to give black writers a chance to put their stories out there, And so to me, it's I don't really think about color when it comes to who I'm working with. I just think of the people that I'm working with, are they okay, good people, do a vibe and stuff. So I don't go like purposely out to say, hey, I'm going to work with this black person or this black. No, I'm going to work with the people,
Very good, very good. We'll save your question for the next. You got a question for him? Okay.
I have an orchestra, and very interested in possibly collaborating. A few years ago, I took over Barry White's group, the Love Unlimited Orchestra. So we'll talk more about that. Yeah.
I love Barry.
Okay, we're networking right here.
Great.
This is wonderful, wonderful. Well, let's see our next personality that's here with us today is Mr. Curtis Roberson. Tell us quickly about yourself.
Well, I'm Curtis Roberson. I am a native of Cleveland. I grew up in the quote-unquote guts of Cleveland. I'm a health and wellness professional expert. I'm the CEO of Touched by Health Wellness Institute, which is a Cleveland-based grassroots nonprofit community organization. And our focus is to really empower people to think critically about their health and wellness. Because health is something that we all need, and it's critical that we understand what it means to be healthy. And our community has been devastated, with low level health. We're seeing more and more children with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and Touched by Health is really vital in the sense that we want to create a conversation and an outlet, a pathway for people to really have a clear understanding of what they should be doing.
Tell me quickly, or as long as you need to say this, what do you accomplish by eating the plant-based foods? And you tell us a little bit quickly about your raw experience as a young man and how you came to this philosophy.
Well, at the age of 6 or 7, I suffered with severe hypertension. I had seizures quite often, had horrible headaches. And around the age of 13, I found some books that was really amazing to me and said some things that I didn't hear before, and that was that animal foods are very destructive to the body. So that began my renaissance into the health and wellness community, and I became a raw foodist overnight from the age of 14 to the age of 42 right now. I have never been sick, and so I knew that I wanted to bring this information to people, but I knew it would be an uphill battle to bring some very new, exciting, innovative information to the community.
Do you speak, or, well, not so much speak, but I met you speaking and I'm following basically what you teach. How do you do that when you meet someone like myself who needs your services?
Well, you know, one of the first things I do is sit down and have a conversation with you and find out what your goals are. The information that I provide, people find quite provocative. For example, you should never cook your food and eat it. You should be eating raw plant foods. Animal foods are destructive on many levels, from milk to cheese, to eggs, to bread, to salt. These foods cause damage to your blood vessels, your skin, your heart, your gallbladder. And so I'm having conversations about what it is and what does it mean to be healthy, and what foods are the best foods for people to be consuming. And diabetes, for example, is one of those destructive habits in our community. And we're starting to see more and more children with these conditions. And when you prescribe insulin and take the medical route to recovering from diabetes, you end up in diabetic comas, have diabetic neuropathy, issues with your heart. And so these things does not have to occur. And so I devise menu planning for individuals. My institute also is looking to open up a fasting center. We do weight loss programming, we do exercise development, and I do outreach community services like workshops on reversing diabetes and heart disease and cancer, and talking about food and nutrition.
You told me I had to give up my onions and my collard greens. Why?
So, when we talk about food, a lot of people focus on food, but we suffer from food addictions. And there's traditions that are linked to these food addictions. But onions are poisonous. They're damaging to your lungs. That's why people have onion breath. When you have these white blood cells that live in your lungs, and when you poison the body with onion, which has mustard oil in it, the white blood cells defend you. And one of the defense mechanisms is throwing off the vapors of onions through the esophagus and sweating, and that's why the eyes water. So onions and foods like mustard greens are not considered wholesome foods. So I provide really detailed information to help people really get a clear understanding of what it is they should be.
One more short answer before I give it to the other gentleman. Herbs. A lot of your people that listen to you always talk to you about herbs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when people listen to me, they say, well, you must be into holistic health. You must be into herbs. Herbs are great. Herbs are just as toxic as medications. Herbs are drugs to the body. The body treats herbs as drugs. Herbs cause disease. A lot of medications come from herbs. And those individuals who are practicing herbalism are practicing medicine without a license. The whole notion that you can use poisons to cure the body or heal the body is complete nonsense. The body heals itself. So we focus on what are you eating, what are you drinking, what are your sleeping habits? How are you thinking every day? Your thoughts can affect your health, your relationship with other people. So it's a total program, but people they zero in on the nutrition message, but herbs have no place in human nutrition or the human body. And herbs cannot possibly cure disease. If that was true, people wouldn't be sick today. So we're giving people a new understanding of.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. That song reminds me of somebody, the Pointer Sisters. I want to give your two panelists an opportunity to give a quick question and a quick answer. Mr. Alex.
How do you break the attraction that people have to certain foods, because there's a deep thing of it's not just eating food, but it's growing up with certain foods and always eating certain foods. I find that to be because my mom sadly has diabetes right now and stuff, and I'll be eating something sweet. I'll be like, you don't need that. It's yeah, well, give me a piece. And it's that whole attraction to food. How do you break that?
Right. Well, we got to understand that we know a lot about drug addictions, but food addictions are not talked about. And there's a lot of tradition that are linked to these food addictions. And one of the most powerful methods I have discovered on earth to break addictions is through fasting. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with fasting. Fasting can really save a person's life. For example, when you're very sick in a hospital, the common practice is to feed a person. But if your body won't digest the food, you should not be eating. We fast babies for 10 or 15 days with no food. So fasting is so critical, and that's one of the methods that we can use to break physical and psychological addictions to the foods that we commonly eat.
Fast food stores are everywhere. People are making a fortune off of fast food.
Right.
The herbal stores are popping up all over the place, and I don't even want to get into the pharmacies and all the prescription drugs and the doctors that are prescribing things that are they may even know that are no good. But if we were to tell people, if we were to tell folks that are listening now, what's one thing that they can do that they have control of? And I know it's difficult because, you know, we're being inculcated all the time with all these things, and the media is huge in influencing us. So is there one thing that we can do? Because it's going to be difficult to go raw. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be difficult to do that. So what's one thing we can do?
So food is a multi-billion-dollar industry. One of the things that I recommend that people do is understand the importance of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and raw nuts and seeds. In the morning, I recommend that you eat fresh fruit on an empty stomach. In the morning, it's very important. Eat fresh fruit on an empty stomach and try to eat a large green salad every day. And if you have to eat meat, I recommend that you chop the meat up and put it in a salad. But the message is that you must start consuming more fresh plant foods. That's the message.
Can I get one question in? Dealing with organic food?
Yes, organic is best. And I have a program called a grocery store tour where we go to the grocery store and I highlight the dangers of eating GMOs, genetically modified foods. And those of you who feed your children cereal, if you look on the side of the box, it'll tell you at the bottom if it's a genetically modified organism, and those foods are genetically modified. So knowledge is power, and again, my message is consuming more raw plant foods.
Thank you.
And one lady asked me, how do you eat chicken raw? Well, we don't eat, we're vegans.
Well, I don't recommend meat raw or cooked, but we're saying raw plant foods.
Right, but some people may misunderstand when
Right, so we're talking about raw plant foods. Human beings, our body design is not made to consume meats. The GI tract is about 15 feet long, so that's where bad breath and feces come from meat decomposing and rotting in the intestinal tract. Whereas if you ate more plant foods, that wouldn't occur. You would not have arthritic bones, or you wouldn't have headaches. So it's important for people to know this. Chocolate is also a drug. I don't recommend people eat chocolate.
Make some unhappy people with that.
This is information, and I'm in the Cleveland area doing workshops all over the place, and I'm looking for those who are interested in hosting events and having me come and talk about this issue.
Mr. Fred Wheat.
Yes.
Go with it.
I actually have so many more questions for
I know,
Curtis. I really do.
Yes.
But my name is Fred Wheat. I'm from Cleveland, born, bred, buttered right here in Cleveland. I'm currently the conductor and the arranger for the Love Unlimited Orchestra that I was able to get with. I was able to secure the name about 5 years ago. Back in the mid-'70s, I left here with Barry with a fellow from the Cleveland Orchestra. I'm a trombonist and a violinist, and I left Cleveland to go on tour with Barry White. Prior to that, I've been involved in music pretty much my entire life. I was, after high school in the mid-'60s, I took over the band here at Leo's Casino. It was not a gambling casino. It was the largest club in the Midwest, and I was able to get through college by playing there. We play every Thursday through Sunday, playing for somebody, whether, oh gosh, so many people, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, the O'Jays, The Fifth Dimension, Lil Anthony, Curtis Mayfield, and Impressions, Four Tops, you name it. If they were out, we played for them. And that's how I was able to get through school, starting with Cuyahoga Community College and then on to Kent State for my bachelor's degree and John Carroll for my master's. My bachelor's degree is in music education, and my master's is in college student personnel and counseling. And then I was involved.
And you are also a
I became
member
involved in music,
of the
so I went
bar.
to law school.
Yes.
I went to law school because I wanted to find out more about contracts and, you know, First Amendment, this freedom of speech and expression. So I've been able to do that. Played most of the venues around Cleveland, from Playhouse Square to Blossom, Severance Hall, just about all of them.
Have you published any literature?
I have. The reason I made my first publication a few years ago, there was a number of groups that I played for. The singers, we were playing for vocalists. Most vocalists know very little to no music.
Yeah.
And I said, man, something has to be done. So I put together a publication. I was rehearsing with a popular group, and the guitarist, who happened to be the leader's son, he really went off on the singers, and he said, "Why don't y'all learn some music, basic music, because we're talking in musical terms." They didn't know what we were talking about.
They just memorize the song.
They
don't know what
memorize
the
songs,
notes are.
and I mean,
Right.
but if certain expressions, if we say legato, piano, I mean, those are terms that mean something, like soft and smooth, and they had no idea what we were talking about. So, I didn't start doing this until just a few years ago with my first publication, but it's called All About the Music Business. And Chubby Checker, who created the twist, he's the one that named it.
Was he from, where's Chubby from?
He's from outside of Philadelphia. I just visited him a couple of weeks ago.
He was here recently.
He's doing well. He's still performing. He's all over the country.
Have you done any community work other than
I have. As a matter of fact, talking with Curtis here to my right earlier, he was with one of the organizations that he did not mention. It's the largest men's shelter in the state. It's the Lutheran Ministries. And I've been involved with them, teaching them with my cousin who plays harmonica. We're teaching them music so that they can, have fun and enjoy it, but also to empower them to make money. So instead of just hanging out on the streets asking people for, give me some money, you can play, and you can legally do that here now. And that will empower them so that they hopefully will not be picked up for loitering and vagrancy. So we're teaching them harmonica, and it's a small instrument, and you can just pick it up and go with it. But it's just a basic skill that we want to teach them as best we can, so for those who are interested, they can go on. And music is a lifelong thing. I started, a fellow pulled me, I was in elementary school. I lived in just about every neighborhood in Cleveland I was born on 72nd and upstairs on the 3rd floor, 72nd and Cedar, and we moved from there to a basement on 71st and Wade Park, then on 84th and Wade Park, then 79th and Huff, then on 74th and Central, 65th and Central, Thackeray between off of 55th, and then the 61st.
How do you remember all of those places?
Yeah, and that was only within 12 or 13 years.
Yes.
I don't know, either somebody was chasing my family or something, but we were all over the place. Then we moved uptown.
Do you play an instrument?
Trombone is my main instrument. But I do a lot.
Is that the slide thing?
That's the slide thing, right? But all of the low brass, I concentrate on.
Does that have to vibrate your lips like the saxophone?
Yeah, no. With the brass instruments like trumpets, trombones, instruments that use we call brass instruments. All you got to do is this. You do that, you got a sound. With saxophones, clarinets, there's a thing called a reed. It's a little
I heard
wooden,
yes.
Looks a little wooden slither that goes onto a mouthpiece, and that when you blow onto that, it vibrates.
Would you tell a young person in the Cleveland area, or international, because we are on the web, of course.
That's right.
What would you say to a young person because it's a very hard field to get into? How would you inspire them? What would you say? And I'm going to ask you other two gentlemen the same question.
I would say if you can become involved in music, please do so, because there are also scholarships in music, and you do not have to be a music major to get a scholarship. There may even be scholarships in theater. In dance, there are scholarships. I worked for many years at Cuyahoga Community College as an administrator, as the assistant director of student activities. I was involved in just putting all the programs, all the films, all the speakers together for the college. This was back in the mid to.
And what would you say to them? If they were
I would tell them, I would have kids to become involved in the arts. And the reason I'm saying become involved in the arts, a few years ago, and I would think it's still true today, the highest proficiency test scores came from the Cleveland School of the Arts. And the difference was because they're involved in theater, they're involved in music, they're involved in dance, they're involved in screenwriting, those things. But then leaning towards Curtis over here, if you don't have your health, you can't do anything.
Right, that's true, that's true. Curtis,
so one of the things that I put in my book, it's all about the music business, it's about health, but I should have also conferred with you. because you have more knowledge than many of the doctors and some of the other people that I did confer with. Some of their stuff is good too, but people need to know how to take care of their health. And we run into that all the time, because if you can't move your hands, you can't even play drums,
And
guitar,
I find
horns,
that
or anything.
music, I was watching a concert on Sunday at one of the churches here. They had a jazz orchestra in the church performing music.
Oh yeah,
And
we've done that for years.
I can't remember the artists, but I knew two of them. One was a pianist and one was the flute player. And what I would like to ask the other two men is, what would you tell a young person who wants to get into your, Mr. Alex? Yes.
As far as filmmaking, I would tell them to focus on the business side of things. I mean, you can always learn the creative things, like a guy Robert Rodriguez says, you can learn anything you want to learn about filmmaking in like 10 minutes and stuff. But the business side of things is very important. Different contracts, how to negotiate, how to deal with people, and always how to get paid for it. I did a television show where we had sponsors for it and they paid us for it, and they didn't see any of the show beforehand. They just want to be in the show, you know. So I would tell them to learn the business side of things, and you don't have to get really involved in the business, but you have to know enough, because sadly a lot of artists get cheated. Even like back in the day, the Beatles, it was a company called Apple Records, not anything to do with Apple computers now, but they were the ones making the money while the Beatles having all the screaming girls going after them. They were the ones making the money off of the Beatles. And you have so many stories of artists, all different colors, all different races and stuff, who have been cheated because they let other people handle their money and their things.
So now you need to know more about the business.
Yeah, but like people like
a manager,
people like Ray Charles and stuff. He always knew about the business and knew about stuff and everything. So you gotta know about the business side.
Okay, wonderful. You got to be able to make those films, but you still got to know where that money is going.
Where that money's coming, yeah. It's show business.
Yes, show business. And Mr. Curtis.
Well, if I would talk to young people, you know, I would say reflect back on my life and just to have a passion for life. Children, young people are very curious, and my curiosity spurred me on to dig deeper into the health and wellness sciences. And it has opened up other avenues of interest. The mathematics, I didn't like school at all. I left school in 12th grade, but my interest in medicine has brought me full circle to other areas that I didn't have an interest in. And I would say to young people that, you know, your health is your wealth. If you don't have your health, it's the basis of success in life. And without that, nothing else really matters. And so it's critical to understand your self-worth and know that your life has value to it, and not allow a group of people or a group of organizations to steal your life from you. So that's what I would say to young people.
And today, you probably want to know why I'm here and how I got here. And my name is Vivian L. Sharp, Vivian Louise. The name of this program is Potpourri People of Cleveland. I find so many people that I know in networking, and I have been in the business for 43 years as a broadcaster in radio. Now moving into television and then looking for more people. But the main thing I like to tell you today is don't wait to be discovered. Discover yourself, meaning that find out what your natural gift is that you enjoy doing, and study like these men have done, and surpass working a day job. But I don't tell you to quit your job. I'm just saying, discover your natural gift from the Creator. You were born for a reason, and that reason is your gift from the Creator. So don't forget that. And today I would like for you to introduce yourself again so that they'll know who you are, and we'll get the information from the rest of the program later. Mr.
Alex Michaels.
And your business is?
Prelude to Cinema.
Prelude to Cinema, and you?
I'm Curtis Roberson, and I'm the founder and CEO of Touched by Health Wellness Institute.
And
Fred Wheat, I'm the president of Hall of Fame Productions Incorporated and the executive director of the Wheat Foundation. And I'm currently completing a documentary film. It's the African American jazz scene. It's a video about all the African American musicians and places here in Cleveland. I started that 20 years ago. Many of the people, unfortunately, are deceased now. but that's one of the projects that I'm working on. And then say this in closing, for over a decade, I worked with the Talent Search Program, which is an academic, it's a federal program helping preschoolers through senior citizens to matriculate in education and training. And so a few questions we ask people to try to get them onto the right track. What do you like to do?
Right.
It's very simple. Being indoors, outdoors, standing up, sitting down, being with people, being alone. It can guide them towards different careers that may be of interest.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
I thank you so much, Vivian, for
And
having
thank all
me
of
here
you
today.
for being here with us today in Cleveland, Ohio, the Buckeye State. And the wonderful person who helped us present this program is the general manager, Miss Kathy L. Allen, and also our mayor, Mayor Frank, is it G? Oh Lord, Mayor Frank Jackson. And I have requested a lot of things from him, and he used to give me proclamations on my birthday, but I passed so many birthdays, I don't want any more proclamations. I just love being here. And remember that name, Vivian Louise Sharp presents Potpourri People from Cleveland, Ohio. Come on, let's hear it.